6 months.
Congressman, I got to stop you. Apparently, airstrikes have taken place. Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon right now. Jennifer, this sounds like huge news.
Sean, we can report, based on senior military sources, that U.S. warplanes have carried out airstrikes tonight inside Syria against Iranian proxy forces. We don't know the number of strikes. We were told earlier today to expect that perhaps F-15s and F-16s would be involved in the airstrikes, but we don't have confirmation yet about how many warplanes. But those strikes have been carried out. I'm told it is in response to the more than dozen strikes against U.S. bases. The message is a clear message designed to Iran and its proxy forces to stop carrying out these drone and rocket attacks against U.S. bases. But I'm told that the planes have safely left the area and that the airstrikes are complete at this time. They were targeting multiple locations inside Syria and Iranian proxy forces, Sean.
It seems to me like everyone is beating around the bush when it comes to this Israel conflict. Everyone is playing with their words. No one wants to be direct. But I'll come right out and say it. America is now basically at war with Iran. Don't get me wrong. It's not official. We haven't declared war or anything, but you tell me what this sounds like. For about the past 2 weeks now, U.S. soldiers in Iraq and in Syria have been under constant attack by Iranian-backed militias. And now, tonight, just a few moments ago at the time of this recording, by the time you're watching, a couple of hours will have passed. But tonight, the U.S. Air Force just conducted multiple airstrikes against Iranian-backed militias within eastern Syria. Now, of course, they're not going to just come out and say it, that we're at war with Iran, but that kind of sounds like war to me. What does it sound like to you? U.S. forces under attack for 2 weeks. Now we're carrying out airstrikes. I mean, it sounds like we're at war with Iran, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But here's the statement that was just put out by the Secretary of Defense. Today, at President Biden's direction, U.S. military forces conducted self-defense strikes on 2 facilities in eastern Syria used by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and affiliated groups. These precision self-defense strikes are a response to a series of ongoing and mostly unsuccessful attacks against U.S. personnel in Iraq and Syria by Iranian-backed militia groups that began on October 17th. As a result of these attacks, 1 U.S. citizen contractor died from a cardiac incident while sheltering in place. 21 U.S. personnel suffered from minor injuries, but all have since returned to duty. The president has no higher priority than the safety of U.S. personnel, and he directed today's actions to make clear that the United States will not tolerate such attacks and will defend itself, its personnel, and its interest. The United States does not seek conflict and has no intention nor desire to engage in further hostilities. But these Iranian-backed attacks against U.S. forces are unacceptable and must stop. Iran wants to hide its hand and deny its role in these attacks against our forces. We will not let them. If attacks by Iran's proxies against U.S. forces continue, we will not hesitate to take further necessary measures to protect our people. These narrowly tailored strikes in self-defense were intended solely to protect and defend U.S. personnel in Iraq and Syria. They are separate and distinct from the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas and do not constitute a shift in our approach to the Israel-Hamas conflict. We continue to urge all state and non-state entities not to take action that would escalate into a broader regional conflict. So you can call it what you want. When it gets to the point that both sides are conducting, well, I guess you can't say airstrikes. The U.S. is carrying out airstrikes against Iranian-backed militias and proxies. These Iranian-backed militias are launching missiles and launching drones at U.S. forces. I mean, call it what you want. At this point, I'm just going to call it what it is. All of the military equipment we're sending, they just announced 900 more troops were deployed to the Middle East today. 2,000 more they've been put on standby. I would say they're most likely going to be shipped over there any day now. We're at war, folks. There's no need to sit here and play around and pretend like we're not. As far as the ground invasion, though, of Gaza, they've already started a soft ground invasion. I'll call it that. Yesterday, Israel sent soldiers and tanks into Gaza, and they did a pretty big raid. In fact, Israel's military released a statement saying IDF tanks and infantry struck numerous Hamas cells, infrastructure, and anti-tank missile launch posts. So they've already gone into Gaza. This isn't the big ground invasion, but I mean, you can basically call it an invasion. They went into Gaza with troops and with tanks. But like I said, there's a lot of people playing around with words. There's plays on words here. No one wants to be direct about what's going on, but when you look at what's going on, there's no denying the facts. That's why I say we're at war. They can try to say that we're not at war, but when our troops have been under attack for over a week now, and now we're retaliating to those attacks, I mean, it's basically war. But something very, very concerning happened a couple of hours ago. A missile struck a little town in Egypt along the border of Gaza. And folks, this is not good. This is not good at all. Remember, I told you to keep your eye on Egypt. Now, this missile reportedly struck the coastal town of Taba. There's at least 5 injuries at the time of this recording. I don't know if there will be casualties. Maybe those numbers will go up, but hopefully not. But here's the problem. Egypt is obviously very, very upset about this, and they put out a statement saying that they reserve the right to respond in any way they choose against whichever party is responsible for this missile. So they're investigating. They don't know if it was Israel or if it was Hamas, but they say they reserved the right to retaliate. Basically meaning, hey, whoever we find out did this, we're going to retaliate. Now, I told you the other day that they've been moving their military around. They just had a big showcase to show off a lot of their military equipment and stuff. There's a lot of interesting things happening in Egypt as we speak, and I'm not so sure what's going to come of this, but I find it interesting that all of these accidents keep happening. These accidents that have, very, very dangerous consequences. These aren't little accidents. These are accidents that involve possibly dragging in a whole nother country into a war, yet these accidents keep happening. Accidents that have the potential to draw other countries into this already out of control conflict. You might remember the other day that Israel accidentally fired one of their tanks on Egypt. It was an accident, they say, but accidents like that don't need to happen because accidents like that can lead to straight up mayhem. And now we have a missile that just dropped in Egypt tonight. We don't know exactly where it came from, yet at the time of this recording. But this is not good, folks. And like I've been telling you all, This is a very sensitive situation. Any war is a very sensitive situation. But you're dealing with little countries, all, just all clustered together. And it's only a matter of time before a bomb drops here or a bomb drops there. And then how are those countries supposed to respond? And when I'm stepping back and I'm looking at all of this play out, it's just really weird that these accidents keep happening. And I'm hoping that tensions just cool down. I know that things between Hamas and Israel aren't going to cool down, but we don't need Egypt getting all upset and getting involved. They're already right there on the border. We don't need something spiraling out with Egypt's military now coming at Israel as well. But make no mistake about it, that could happen. At this point, anything could happen. The Middle East right now is it's on fire. It's on fire. Everyone is angry. It doesn't matter what country you're in. Everyone feels some type of way about what's happening. And a lot of the people in these countries are urging their leaders to take action. They don't have to drum up support for a war like we do in America. They want it. They're ready. So, every day that I watch this situation play out, it's crazy because we're watching the events unfold in real time, but knowing what's at the end of this tunnel, what's at the end of this path that we're going down, none of us want to reach that point. Trust me. But it doesn't seem like anyone is really trying to stop that from happening. I told you all months ago that I think that we're going to have some crazy times leading up into this next election. And it very well looks like we will be smack dab in the middle of World War III by the next election. And if you ask me, we're already in World War III right now as we speak. Let me know your thoughts, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up. If you're feeling generous, you could drop a super thanks. Or, like I said, you can support my channel for free by hitting that thumbs up, sharing the video, subscribing, ringing that notification bell. And as always, I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.